It's Monday. That means it's Setup Monday, a brave new coin. Let's take a look at some charts. Let's take a broad swath trolling, the fishing term, for those familiar. Let's go through, look at a bunch of charts. What can we gather? Do we have an edge this week in anything? So first of all, BTC obviously had a failed breakout, a massive breakdown, 25%. Found love in a lonely place on the monthly pivot, on the pitchfork diag. I mean, it looked irrational. It looked like selling for selling's sake. It didn't necessarily have a technical impetus that I could see. And this bullish candle is almost equally as irrational. You know, it's kind of just highly volatile in the low time frames. The high time frame trend metrics are getting sloshed around. It's just a difficult situation if you are, especially if you're emotionally invested in this, something like this, you're going to get wrecked. If you're on leverage, you're going to get wrecked. You probably longed the top and shorted the bottom, something like that. But in any regard, we didn't fully mean revert to the 200-day moving average. And as it stands now, this chart doesn't really look like anything. It's just random walk, total mess. If you're trying to trade this on leverage like I am, then you're waiting for medium time frames, 4 hour, to show bullish trend metrics again. A lot of people looking at the daily cloud, including myself, for this edge-to-edge potential. And the biggest thing to note about these short reversal trades, in this case, which would be a short trade, is that you're waiting for the TK cross to flip bearish first. So it's a series of permissions from the cloud, basically. If we're above the cloud, that gives you permission to go long. If the TK lines are bullish, that gives you permission to hold your long. And if we bounce on the Kijun, that gives you permission to add to your long. If we close inside the cloud, but the TK lines aren't yet bearish, then that's telling you you're stopped out of any bids here, you're stopped out of any position that you were holding, but it doesn't necessarily give you permission to short, even though it looks like it's setting up for a short. And that isn't, I'm not just saying this because it bounced, I was thinking about this over the past few days. This is one of the things I learned with these edge-to-edge trades is they are more successful. They have a higher hit rate when there is a congruent TK cross. So if anything, this was a stop out, but not a short entry. And we can look at other examples of this. This was 2019. We have what looks like a great bullish reversal edge-to-edge in the making. And the TK cross wasn't bullish yet. And until that TK cross was bullish, price kind of went nowhere. And it held at nowhere for quite a long time. But the point here is, again, the long trade didn't really trigger until this TK cross was on its side. And eventually, obviously, that worked out. And we can look at the weekly edge-to-edge situation as well. This didn't actually take off until the bullish TK cross. So just keep that in mind with these edge-to-edge trades. Like the setups, the thing about these is you see them coming way in advance, so you get excited when they actually trigger. And then in some cases, you get immediately disappointed when they don't actually work out. But you just have to keep in mind, you need those lower time frame MAs, basically, to be on your side there. So back to the daily, again, we're not quite bearish just yet on all cylinders. We're leaning towards the bearish camp. And what this will end up probably being is a TK cross recross above the cloud, at least if we stay bullish. So at this point, you want this TK cross to be completely bearish and cross again to give you permission to long, because if you're just trading the cloud, you're stopped out and waiting. This is just no man's land right now. It's absolute no man's land. On the daily, you're in no position if you're trading just the cloud here, because you're stopped out, not yet, in a short trade. We can look at the lower data capture MAs as well. This is alligator fractal. So the alligator's still bearish. And how this works is you're waiting for the MAs to flip bullish again to give you permission to long. You're waiting for a bullish fractal with a price breach of that level. So you're waiting for a horizontal break, basically. So as it stands now, you're not even stopped out of your short if you're trading this by itself. Even the 1050 MA, so that crossed, and it might sound random, but it's a really good high hit rate back-tested MA on the daily. The 1050 crossed bearish a few days ago, and it looks like it's going to crisscross. So that's another, add that to the list of things that give you permission to say, okay, this actually is going to go again. And you can see how long that took in September, October for this thing to actually flip bullish again. So it may take 4 weeks, right? But it's worth watching as it's happening, because once it does, you're like, okay, that's the plan. This is my plan. I knew what to look for. This is what I'm watching for. Then we're good to go. But again, this is in no man's land. ETH, on the other hand, looks quite strong, remains strong throughout those dips and irrationalities. Extreme volatility on ETH. I mean, it's, to see wicks like this on a coin with a market cap this size is quite something. It says books are thin, or people are taking advantage of thin books, something, but it's unusual for sure. You don't really see that all the time. But in any case, it remained above the diagonal. That's really probably the most important support line to watch right now. It's had a series of ascending triangle markup accumulation situations. This is another W type, just bullish continuation, whatever, however you want to think of that. Ultimately, for both BTC and ETH, volume just really hasn't come back yet. So that's partly why price can get sloshed around here. If people aren't excited to do one thing or another, and the books are thin, then that's going to give people looking for an advantage to slosh things around like they have been. So we're still above the big pitchfork. We're still above the 200-day moving average. ETH is, looks like it's going to hit all-time highs again this week. Cloud on ETH looks completely fine. All of these Kijun bounces have been gifts, just repeated Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa gifts, whatever you celebrate, over and over and over again. There was even December, right? That's all those holidays. Anyway, so all of these, even the most recent one a couple days ago, that's why you treat every single price touch like this, even when they're wrong, even when it doesn't work out, you don't care, because the ones that do work out make up for the ones that don't. And you say, all right, bids are here, let's go, right? Like, even when it gets close, right? It's like razor thin to stopping you out. Doesn't matter, you don't care. You're just trading the signals, you're just trading the levels, and you're adding. So if you were adding a few days ago below 2K, obviously you are making bank. ETH-BTC on the daily had this W going into Q2, into April, and wouldn't you just know it, seasonality was on your side, and Bob's your uncle, as they say over the pond. ETH-BTC absolutely crushing it over the past few weeks. There's big macro levels here as well in the red at around 0.4. It wouldn't be unreasonable to look for 0.1 by end of year, potentially. It's going to get real nasty if in the volatility realm, if there's a series of catch-up trades like I'm about to discuss for a bunch of the other coins, these relative pairs are going to get just absolutely sloshed around like a tugboat in a hurricane, just absolutely moved over and over and over again. So I think the relative pairs are going to be hard to trade. I think the setups and the mindset of do I rotate and when, I think that'll be pretty straightforward. Here's DeFi perp. This is just broad overview of DeFi. It looks fine. Again, we're at all-time highs basically. Tested some levels, tested the 50% retracement of the consolidation. DeFi really has been consolidating since February, basically when gas fees exploded. People rotated to BSC, people rotated to Solana and Serum, people rotated to anything that wasn't ETH that retail could afford, basically. Currently, gas prices are around 50 Gwei, or they're low because they raised the gas ceiling recently. So that may be enough of an impetus on the fundamental side of things to move DeFi once again after this consolidation period on technicals. It's had February, March, almost all of April in the same range, where its January was absolute insanity, right? So this isn't reminiscent of the pattern down here, which arguably was some sort of inverted head and shoulders, or just a macro September to January inverted head and shoulders. This doesn't look like any of that. It doesn't even look like coffee, and it doesn't look like anything, but it does look like consolidation is getting ready for markup phase continuation. This doesn't look bearish, right? Like, you can't look at this, looking at the EMAs, looking at everything, it doesn't look bearish. Just highlighting a few Maker all-time highs or near all-time highs. Even the volume on Bitfinex has picked up since January. It's been just kind of a new animal. Comp all-time highs, a messy chart, but at the same time, definitely inverted head and shoulders vibes with this chart. Not for the weak-stomached or weak-hearted, because these moves on lower time frames are fierce. I mean, look at this, just absolute. To trade this on leverage, I think would be insanity. But if you're convicted in your positioning and hypothesis that, okay, we've consolidated, right, February to basically end of April, and it's time for DeFi to move again potentially. So that looks good. Band BTC, speaking of edge trades, I've been watching this for several weeks. This still looks fine to me. I'd like a clear breakout of this level on the diag. I mean, it looked like it was ready to go. The TK cross was on its side even, and then, the entire market just pulled back. But I still like this potentially. And this is what, a 3x maybe on the BTC pair. So that looks like something to watch. It's a 2-day chart, so it's going to take some time if it does play out, but I still like it a lot. Link USD, you point to this chart and tell me where the pullback was. You can't even really find it. Regardless of your fundamental feelings of Link, the trend speaks for itself. You can't deny that this is in a multi-year bull trend. And until that's over, it's just a buy and hold, right? It's the easiest thing to do because you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. It just looks fine. Still above the pitchfork median. I like 60 by the end of the year at a minimum. So that'd be a little less than a 2x. Not super exciting, but it's the safest thing you could probably hold besides BTC at this point, really. I mean, what can you point to that's just in a clear trend like this? Link BTC even has this Adam and Eve thing that we've been watching for a couple weeks now. I like a 2x here pretty easily to the median of this pitchfork. So that looks like a safe trade to me. Link ETH doesn't look so hot though. So again, if you're talking about rotation and where do I put where and why, right? Like you have to hope that BTC's weakness remains because these setups like Band ETH, Band BTC, Link BTC, those look ready to go for bullish reversal. So you really got to hope Link and Band and stuff like this outperforms BTC. Serum, although I'm not in it, I never will be. It doesn't make sense to me. It's irrational. The chart looked good. The setup looked good. So there was a technical reason for the breakout here. And this is what you want to see when you get breakouts, even though this was kind of like a fake out breakout because the entire market sort of had a tantrum. You want to see this volume come in when it breaks levels like this. That's when you know it's an on volume breakout. So Serum looks fine to me. Solana, see, stuff like this makes me nervous. I really want to see these coins through a full bear market and a full bull market to really see what they have in their system. I mean, to see this volume ramp, it's like, where does volume go from here? Does it keep going higher? Unlikely. Does something up 2,200% since January probably need to chill out a little bit? Yeah, probably, right? So for me, it's not, I'm just ignoring it because it's just, where do I get in, right? Like, it's just not for me. I'm not going to buy highs. I'm not going to buy this up here. The downside risk is just too high. Rune, kind of the same thing. It's just up too much, too soon. Just needs some time, I think. This really has never been in a bear market since it got listed. So you really have to keep that in mind. If something's been bullish since January, that doesn't mean it's the new paradigm. It just means it's moved with everything else in the market. BNB, 1,000% since February, right? People are going to start rotating into other stuff regardless of if it's fundamental junk, just because it hasn't moved yet, right? At some point, people are going to say, all right, I'm up pretty reasonably on this. Probably going to rotate. Sushi looks weak. I just bring this up because this is a potential chart that on trend looks bad, looks bearish, but it's one of those rotation trades that people may be looking for because it was, hyper bullish since January and has actually pulled off pretty reasonably, giving people some entry type position. So this is the kind of thing you're looking for. I mean, EOS, something else to me fundamentally that I wouldn't really regard highly, looks like, if you compare it to the Monero chart, right? Like it looks like it's getting ready for its markup phase. This is the type of chart where people I think are gonna look and they're gonna say this is attractive on technicals because it's at the top of its consolidation. This is a 2-year consolidation, 2-year plus. So they're going to be looking at charts like this thinking, okay, BNB is up 1,000%. Whatever else is up 2,000%. What hasn't moved 1,000% yet? I think we're at that part of the cycle. XMR still looks phenomenal to me. I think all-time highs are given here. Just absolute Chad lad of a markup phase over and over again. ADA is another one that deep into its markup phases now. even is starting to look attractive on technicals because it's consolidated really since February, right? Like it hasn't done anything on the USD pair for quite some time, and people start to rotate into stuff like this and out of Solana, out of Serum. That'd be my guess. That's the most rational play, which doesn't mean it has to happen. Where my head's at. And then lastly, on DOT, it's another one that doesn't look so great. Had quite a run up, but it's one to watch. It's on people's radar as far as being in the conversation. I don't have any of this right now. I don't plan on trading it, but it's one of those that had a really hot run and then kind of went flat over the past 2 months, right? Since mid-February to now, it really hasn't done much of anything. So if you want to see how I'm trading in ETH-BTC and DeFi, you can pop on over to enzyme.finance. There will be a link in the video description below. But what this is a non-custodial portfolio management tool where everything is transparent. You can see AUM, you can see performance, you can see allocations, you can see deposits, withdrawals, you can see all the trades I make, when, for how much. You can see that I have $1 million in Aave still, Aave USDC, because I'm not super convinced that everything looks good. You can see my allocation is basically 75-25. Me having a video and saying something is one thing, but seeing like how I'm trading this makes it crystal clear. I think like this is where my skin is in the game, right? And in this fund specifically, this went deep, right? This had a deep drawdown relative to where it was, but my mindset was that the market was filled with irrational behavior that didn't really make sense. I was too late to readjust the allocations based on the swiftness of those moves. So you kind of just have to sit there and bite it and eat it, right? So it kind of is what it is. And then on the DeFi side of things, currently our AUM is much smaller, but how this one is working is we are focusing on 15 to 20 coins roughly, and your usual blue chip suspects. So we're playing those little fundamentally based, a little technical based. But anyway, you can check out both of these over at Enzyme. That's all I have for this one. Like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.